There we go. All right, welcome everybody. Working from home again today. If you're watching on a story later, just head over to the Mysterious Chicago Facebook. You see the whole thing.
And his great band playing for you from the new Grand Terrace on Chicago's Great South Side.
All right, there we
Now
are.
for 30 minutes of Super Jive in the
All right, get ready for
Father
30
Hines
minutes of
style.
Super
Yeah.
Jive in the Father Hines style. Tonight, of course,
What could
doing
this
all
be?
kinds of fun
Ah,
stuff.
it's
What do you know?
Aladdin.
Sorry, Miles is coming over. Hey, Miles. Hey, Deborah, Jeff, Luann, Marie, and Geraldine. Hey, Betsy. Hey, Lisa. Miles. Mhm. Let you guys enjoy that. Here's Anguish Chirps. Here comes Priya. Hey everybody, good morning. It keeps them busy, but man, I don't think they like playing with this thing much. They just get so mad. Miles kind of chirps sadly at this thing. He's just kind of watching it go. Morning, everybody. Miles prefers just to lie in wait for the thing. Hey, everybody. We'll kind of stare there and chirp at it, but if there's actually a mouse in this house, we're screwed. Unless it's jumping, then Miles will be all over it. Welcome, everybody. Gruesome murder story for you today.
That's what you call a powerhouse coder. Yeah, Earl Father Hines carries on now and presents Leroy Harris to sing Teacher's Pet.
Hey, Eileen. Hey, everybody. Just got another Patreon post done. Almost through May now. To your haircut. Nah, you'll see it later. But I got a hat on right now. Everyone could use a gruesome murder story. Okay, then. Alright, morning, Grandma Bell. Give it just another minute while people watch the cats try to figure out where that red bug went. Miles knows that it comes from the little kitty thing that's on the table. How gruesome is it? It's so gruesome. Really, it's not that gruesome. It's grisly more than it's gruesome. All right, there's Earl Father Hines wrapping it up for us from the Grand Terrace Ballroom on Chicago's Great South Side. Welcome along, everybody. I'm Adam Seltzer from Mysterious Chicago Tours, working from home today, and tonight we will be doing a virtual Chicago architectural boat tour. Now, normally these things cost like $50 a ticket. You got to pay to park, you got to pay for drinks, and it's going to be cold right now. It's something like 7 degrees outside, I believe, right now. So, not a day for an actual boat tour, but we'll just do a virtual one. Pour yourself a drink, park your own butt for nothing on your own chair, and just sit back, relax, and hit the donate button. So, today, though, for our morning mini tour, we're going to talk about something that takes place right around this vicinity of the West Loop area. Probably a little bit south of here. It's a little hard to tell. It's mostly around on Congress or the Union Park area. But this general vicinity, we're going back to 1879, when we have this story that was covered in the headline at the Illustrated Police News of slick slaying. The slaying season is also the slaying one. Now, really, this is from months after the fact. This is, it actually took place in the summertime, this particular murder. They just didn't get around to writing about the trial until winter. But in July of 1878, there was this young couple named Peter Stevens and his wife, Mamie Stevens. She went by Kitty for a while, and then Mamie. Her real name was Mary. She's interred at Rose Hill Cemetery someplace. I'm not sure where. I don't think it's marked, so we can't really. I don't think I can use her for a find a grave subject. But they met when Peter was working as a law clerk and happened to meet Mamie's mother, who was there for her third divorce. She'd been married to a guy named Peter Young, who was Mamie's father, but she decided that she wanted to be going out with younger, smarter, better-looking men. Now, there's a lot of conflicting accounts. Some say that it was a case of drunken cruelty. People who knew them said no, he let her say that it was drunken cruelty to save face for her because she really was telling him that he was too dumb and too ugly to be married to her anymore. So this would have been Anna, her mother, pictured here. And incidentally, in the Illustrated Police Gazette, she was pictured right next to Mark Gray, who's going to come up next week on the Theatrical History Tour for his attempt to assassinate Edwin Booth while he was on stage in Chicago. But at the time, Mrs. Young, in her divorce trial, introduced Peter to her daughter, Mamie, who at the time was about 13. They married at shortly thereafter, probably with Mrs. Young's full consent. There's, once again, conflicting accounts as to that. But they married when Mamie was about 13 and Peter was probably about 17. Now, he had a job as a clerk and also a night job doing copying, so he was never really at home. She was 13, married, and left to her own devices, which she spent most of going out with other men. Meanwhile, he was also going out with other women, so this was a very tumultuous affair between teenagers, as you would probably imagine. So, eventually, 1879, Peter came home one day, found that his wife wasn't there, went out to a park, found her with another man, came up raving, and she said, "Are you going to shoot me?" And he said, "Yes, I am," and then did exactly that. She lingered in bed for 3 days after having been shot, while Peter sat in the prison saying, "Well, that's too bad. I didn't mean to kill her." And it was a very strange case. Anna, the mother, at that time said, "No, I always opposed the marriage. I'd been trying to get her away from that horrid brute of a young man forever." But then letters she had written to Peter very much contradicted this. So in the eventual trial, he was represented primarily by A.S. Trude, Alfred S. Trude, who also prosecuted the Pendergast case when Patrick Pendergast assassinated the mayor. He would defend Thomas Neal Cream in court. He defended Minnie Wallace in court, like all of the Chicago serial killers, except for Holmes, and those in that era were defended by this guy, or some of them were prosecuted by him. He had as his assistant counsel Emory A. Storrs, who was in all of the major cases of the day as well. And these two decided to go for the insanity thing. They came up with all of these different reasons that he would have gone insane, primarily by his teenage bride's conduct. There was even one newspaper that said, you know, he married a 13-year-old. How could he not be insane to have done such a thing? So, at this time, temporary insanity was out of fashion as a verdict, but these were very skillful lawyers. They were able to establish that a lot of what Mrs. Young, his mother-in-law, was saying contradicted what was in the letters. They had testimony from all the different people that Mamie had been going around with, and eventually the jury decided that it was a case of manslaughter and gave him a sentence of 14 years in prison. Now, what happened next is, as they were leading him out of the trial, Mrs. Young, his mother-in-law, attempted to shoot him. Now, this is a little bit less dramatic than it sounds. This is the Illustrated Police News version of it. In her version, in most eyewitness accounts, she was only about 6 inches away from his head, and he didn't even know what had happened until he heard the click. She came up, had a pistol wrapped up in a handkerchief, got it 6 inches to his head, and pulled the trigger, but the handkerchief got the hammer, and the thing didn't actually go off, so she was quickly carted away. The National Police Gazette illustrated this as well. Not quite as clearly, but a little bit more dramatically. It shows here she's having the gun wrestled away from her. So he was hauled away to jail, served about 8 of his 14 years before being let out. Then I think he spent the rest of his time just being active in Freemason crap. There was a bill out to arrest Mrs. Young, but the guy who was sent to serve it decided, I just can't do it. And a week later, the grand jury decided not to bother and just ignore the whole bill. So she was never in any kind of legal trouble. I don't know what happened to her after this. I've been still working on that. I know one of her other daughters, Lillian, who was 12 at the time, died when she was 16. She went for a drink of brandy and accidentally drank the carbolic acid. So this was a really, really big story in 1879 in Chicago. There were like entire pages of newspapers were given up to this. It made all of the Eastern police magazines. It was written up in other papers and has never really been retold once. I couldn't find even like a blog post talking about this case. So it'll be on the Patreon sometime in May, but that is a murder story for today. Once again, tonight, we are going to be a little bit less murder-oriented. Tonight, we are going to be talking about architecture along the Chicago River and a virtual boat ride, the kind of thing that I normally only do like this time of year when it's too cold to do it for realsies. But then next week, we'll be talking about Mark Gray, the attempted assassin, and several other strange stories in strange theater tales from Chicago history, all as a benefit for the Snellville Performing Arts Center. Give them your money now. I'll have the links for that pretty soon. So thanks a lot for joining me, everybody. I will see you back tonight for our virtual boat tour, and next week for the theater tour, and tomorrow morning I will attempt to be back outdoors for Find a Grave Friday. I think it's going to be warming up a little bit. Julius wants to know about the kitties. Miles is now under the chair. Still trying to find something to chase. Let's put it back on. Miles, you want something to chase? There it goes. So you can see where the light is coming from. And we'll sometimes just focus on that. Miles, you're gonna go blind doing that. Don't do that. See, it's down there, see? I always feel bad. I feel like it distracts him and he's just about like... Well, all right, everybody. Thanks a lot. I will see you tonight for the virtual tour. And then I'll see you next week for another virtual tour, and tomorrow for Find a Grave Friday. So thanks a lot for joining me. I'm Adam from Mysterious Chicago Tours, telling you all, stay safe, stay strong, and of course,